Good morning, everyone. This is Chair French convening the regular business meeting of the Kansas Corporation Commission for Thursday, October 3rd, joined by my colleagues Commissioner Keene and Commissioner Keither. On today's agenda, we have a consent agenda consisting of 6 items, and we have one noticed item. We will begin with our consent agenda. Commissioners, you've had the opportunity to review those 6 consent agenda items. Let me ask at this time if you have any questions, beginning with Commissioner Keither
No, I don't. Thanks.
and Commissioner Keene.
Questions from me either. I'd move approval of the consent agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Is there any further discussion of that motion? Hearing none, all in favor, vote aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed, say no. The consent agenda is approved. We will now move to our one noticed item. This is docket number 24 KGSG 610 RTS, and it is a proposed order on unanimous settlement agreement. And our presenter for this item is Mr. Brian Fedotin. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, Commissioners. On March 1st, Kansas Gas Service applied for a net $58.1 million increase in base rates, and after rebasing $35 million of that currently collected through their gas system reliability surcharge, the total increase to base rates requested was $93.1 million. And if their original application had been granted, the average residential customer's bill would have increased about $7.87 per month, net of the current GSRS. In addition, the application requested to implement an A/B rate for residential customers to provide customers more options to control their bills. Under that plan, residential customers who used less than the average amount of natural gas would be on the A plan with lower fixed monthly charge and higher volumetric charge, and residential customers who use more than the average amount of gas would be on the B plan with a higher monthly service charge and lower volumetric charge. The original application also sought to allow recovery of 50% of the financially based incentives awarded to officers and executives and rates, and use a performance-based rate-making mechanism, the annual performance-based rate adjustment, or APRA, to annually adjust rates. But on August 2nd, KGS, Commission staff, CURB, and Wood River Energy LLC, the only parties to the docket, filed a joint motion to approve the settlement agreement. And among the major elements in the unanimous settlement agreement is an agreement that the overall annual increase in base rates would be $70 million, which includes $35 million, $29,489 related to rebasing GSRS surcharge revenues, and also that KGS would withdraw its proposed annual performance-based rate adjustment proposal, and it would withdraw its proposed AB rate structure for residential customers. On August 13th, the Commission held a hearing on the proposed unanimous settlement. The order explains that the law generally favors compromise and settlements of disputes between parties, and in approving a settlement, the Commission must make an independent finding that the settlement is supported by substantial competent evidence, establishes just and reasonable rates, and is in the public interest. Here, the signatories agree that the settlement is supported by substantial competent evidence, and the order notes the record is extensive and includes hundreds of pages of testimony, hundreds of pages of work papers, and hundreds of data requests. And thus, the order says, having reviewed the record in its entirety, the Commission finds the unanimous settlement is supported by substantial competent evidence. Kansas Supreme Court precedent explains that rates must fall within a zone of reasonableness, balancing the interest of investors versus ratepayers, present versus future ratepayers, and the public interest. Here, the signatories agree the settlement agreement results in just and reasonable rates. There is substantial evidence in the record that the agreed upon rates will provide KGS sufficient revenue and cash flow to meet its obligations, yet keep rates as low as possible and maintain reliable service for the customers. Accordingly, this order finds that the unanimous settlement agreement will result in just and reasonable rates for KGS and its customers. And then lastly, the signatories agree that the unanimous settlement agreement is in the public interest and should be approved. In part because KGS agreed to withdraw the APRA, which would have shifted risk from shareholders to ratepayers without any commensurate ratepayer benefits. And the agreement to withdraw the AB rate structure, which would have led to higher rates for some residential customers. So after considering all of that, this order finds the unanimous settlement agreement is supported by substantial competent evidence, will result in just and reasonable rates, and is in the public interest. Therefore, this order approves unanimous settlement agreement in its entirety and notes that the new rates will take effect beginning November 1st. With that, I'm available for questions.
All right, thank you, Brian, for that full rundown. Let's ask at this time if there are any questions on this order, and I will begin again with Commissioner Keither
I don't, thank you.
and Commissioner Keen.
No questions for me either. I would join the chair and thanking you, Brian, for the pretty comprehensive breakdown on what the order consists of. Having said that, I would move approval of the order.
Second,
We've got a motion and a second to approve the order as described in this docket. Is there any further discussion of that motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please vote aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed, say no. The order is approved. With that, we have come to the conclusion of all the items noticed on today's business meeting agenda. If there's nothing further to come before us this morning, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Got a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor, vote aye.
Aye.
Aye. We're adjourned. Thank you all. Take care.
Take care.